Hello students, welcome to the online class of Gurukul Kurukshetra. Today I'll discuss a very lovely poem given in your textbook First Flight. The title of the poem is A Tiger in the Zoo, written by George Leslie Norris. Dear students, before I start the introduction and explanation of the poem, I would like to introduce you to the writer of the poem, Leslie Norris. Guys, Leslie Norris was a prize-winning Welsh poet and short story writer. He is considered as most important Welsh writers of the post-war period, and his literary works have won many prizes. His famous works are Finding Gold, The Loud Winder, Phoenix Living Poet series, Ranjams, etc. So this was something about the poet. Now let us discuss the introduction of the poem. In this poem, the poet tries to depict the mental condition of a caged tiger. He compares the life of a tiger in the zoo with its life in its natural habitat. Students, in the poem he presents the contrast between freedom and captivity. He highlights how love for freedom is the natural instinct of every living being. And now let us turn straight away to the explanation of the poem. The first stanza of the poem goes like this. He stalks in his vivid stripes. He stalks in his vivid stripes. The few steps of his cage on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet race. Now let us have a look at some difficult words. The first word is there, stalks. It means walks. Vivid, it means bright or clear. Stripes means lines. Pads, this is soft part under the foot of the tiger. One more word is there, raise, it means anger. Guys, here the poet says that the tiger is locked in a cage of a zoo. It's a very small cage, therefore he can only take a few steps. There are stripes on its body which are quite noticeable. Its paws are soft like velvet. No noise is produced when it walks on its pads of velvet. The tiger is silent but in anger. Now let's look at the rhyme scheme and poetic devices used in this stanza. Rhyme scheme. A, B, C, B. Cage and raise both rhyme each other. Personification. The tiger is personified because the poet refers him as he, as human being. I mean to say. Metaphor. Tiger's paws are compared with velvet, like pads of velvet. Enjambment. Sentence is continuing to next line without any punctuation mark. This kind of style is called enjambment. Imagery. Poet tries to create an image about the tiger. Like he stalks in his vivid stripes, the few steps of his cage. Another literary device, consonants. Use of S sound like stalks, his, stripes. Assonance is also there. Use of vowel sound I in his vivid stripes. Oxymoron. Use of adjectives, opposite in meaning like quite, raise, quite. And now let us recite the second stanza of the poem. The second stanza is something of this kind. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water hole where plump deer pass. Now let us focus on the difficult words of the stanza. The first word is there, lurking. It means hiding. Sliding, it means moving. Whole, pool, plump, fat and healthy. Now, explanation of the stanza. Here the poet says that if this tiger was free, he would have hid himself behind the long grass near the water body such as pool or river, so that he could easily catch a deer in order to have it as its food. Basically, the poet wants to say that the actual life of a tiger is to live in jungle, where he could catch his prey and eat it but the tiger in the cage cannot do so. Now let us have a glance at the rhyme scheme and literary devices of this stanza. The rhyme scheme is A, B, C, B, grass and pass. Two words rhyme with each other. Enjambment. Line continues to next line without punctuation mark, sliding through deer pass. Right? Alliteration. Use of sound P at the start of two words. Plum, pass, PP, sound of PP. Imagery. The poet has tried to create an image of tiger's activities lurking in shadow. Well guys, come to the third stanza of the poem. It is of this kind. He should be snarling around houses at his jungle's edge, bearing his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. And now difficult words of the stanza. Snarling. It means warning sounds made by animals. Bearing. Uncovered. Fangs. Sharp tooth of animals. Now look at the explanation of this stanza. In this stanza, the poet says that if the tiger was free, he would have snarled around the houses located at the outskirts of the forest. He would terrorize people with his sharp teeth and claws. This would create fear among the people living in the villages. Now let me tell you rhyme scheme and literary devices of the stanza. Rhyme scheme followed in the stanza is A, B, C, B. Word S and less. Both are rhyming with one another. Enjambment. Line continues to next line without punctuation marks. Like he should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge. No punctuation mark is there between these two lines. Onomatopoeia. Using words which denote sound, snarling. Assonance. Use of vowel sound O and I in the word should, around, houses. Bearing, his, white, his. Now consonants. Use of consonant sound S. His, fangs, his, claws. These are the words. Well guys, let us take up the fourth stanza of the poem, which runs like this. But he is locked in a concrete cell. His strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. Now let us focus on its difficult words. First word is there. Concrete cell. Here concrete cell means building made of bricks, cement, sand and water. Now in this stanza, the poet comes to the reality of the tiger that is inside the cage. He says that the tiger is confined in a strong cell which is made of strong building material. He further says that as the tiger is behind bars, so his ferociousness is also behind the bars. He just stalks in the cage. He never tries to terrorize the visitors because his power is restricted by the cage. Therefore, he never tries to terrorize the visitors as he cannot attack them. Now let me tell you rhyme scheme and literary devices of the stanza. ABCB rhyme scheme is followed in the stanza. Bars and visitors. Personification is also there in the stanza. The tiger is personified because the poet refers him as he. Assonance is also there. Use of vowel sound E, he, log, concrete, cell. In each word we find repetition of E sound. Consonants, use of consonant sound S, his, strength, bars. Alliteration is also there. Use of sound B at the start of two words, behind and bars. Dear students, come to the fifth stanza of the poem. Now let us recite the stanza. He hears the last voice at night. The patrolling cars and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. I am highlighting difficulties of the stanza now. Patrolling, to guard, to visit. Brilliant. Brilliant here means very bright. In this passage, the poet says that in the night, the tiger hears the sounds of the patrolling cars. Patrolling cars are the vehicles of police, which are used to guard at night. So in the night, the tiger hears the sounds of these cars. He then stares at the shining stars with his shining eyes. The poet wants to say that the tiger is sad and he is confined in the cage. So he cannot do anything. Therefore, he stares at the stars in the night and tries to divert his thoughts towards them. Well, students, now discussion of rhyme scheme and literary devices used in this stanza. ABCD rhyme scheme is followed. Cars and stars, right? Enjambment. Again, line 3 continues to line 4 without any punctuation mark, and this style is called enjambment. Like, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Alliteration is also there. Use of sound H in the starting of two words, he hears. Assonance, use of I sound with his brilliant. With this, we have come to the end of the poem. I hope you must have understood each and every aspect of the poem clearly. All the very best. Thank you very much. Have a good time.